The cold of space had a way of stripping away everything except survival. Commander Elias Kor floated in the command module of his scout ship, the dim lights reflecting off his weathered face. Years in the Alliance had taught him discipline, logic, and strategy. Emotions were dangerous, a weakness to be avoided. Yet for some reason he could not shake a strange anticipation. Their mission was simple on paper: investigate a derelict research station on the edge of the Andros cluster. Reports suggested unusual energy readings, possibly experimental technology. In truth, Elias suspected nothing of importance. He had learned long ago that anomalies rarely mattered. But when the sensors picked up a faint pulse, a heartbeat that did not belong to any human or machine, something shifted. "Commander," the communications officer, Tiravos said, her voice tense, "There's something alive on the station. It doesn't match any human signature. It's different," Elias's brow furrowed. "Different how?" "It's light," Tira whispered. "It pulses like a heart." Elias frowned. In all his years he had never encountered a life form whose essence was light itself. The thought should have been impossible, and yet here it was. They landed on the station, its skeletal frame creaking under the weight of empty corridors. Dust hung in the air and the faint hum of power cores echoed like a heartbeat in the silence. The crew moved cautiously, weapons ready. Elias led the way, his footsteps steady but his mind raced. Then he saw her. She was small, fragile in appearance, yet radiant. Her body shimmered like molten starlight, translucent and soft. Her eyes, if they could be called eyes, glowed with a gentle intensity. She floated just above the ground, tethered by nothing yet anchored in his gaze. For a moment Elias forgot all training, all caution. He simply stared. Something about her light made his chest tighten. It was not fear. It was awe. "Do not approach," Tira said sharply. "We don't know what it is." Elias nodded slowly but did not move. He felt a pull, a silent plea from the being that went beyond words. Her light flickered as if responding to him, delicate and fragile, like the first sunrise after a long, dark night. The station groaned violently. A section of the ceiling collapsed nearby, throwing the crew into chaos. Dust filled the air, sparks flew, and alarms blared. And in that instant, the light being Lyra floated downward, drifting toward the edge of the collapse. Without thinking, Elias lunged forward. He grabbed her as debris fell around them, shielding her with his body. The light flared, and for a moment it seemed as if the whole station had paused. Time suspended itself in awe of her glow. When the dust settled, Elias held her close. Her warmth, impossible and real, seeped into him. She looked at him, a pulse of light flickering with what he could only describe as gratitude. "Is it alive?" Tira asked, her voice trembling. Elias's hands tightened around her, not in fear, but in protection. "More than alive," he said quietly. "It's something sacred." The sensors began to beep rapidly. The Alliance's database had flagged the station as an illegal research facility, and now the system's automated defense drones activated, scanning the area for threats. The first shot struck near them, sending sparks flying. Elias moved instinctively, holding Lyra close, guiding her through the crumbling corridors. Each step was a careful dance. Every moment he feared her light would fade under the strain, yet it seemed to respond to him, growing steadier in his presence. They reached a central chamber where the energy pulse originated. Machines hummed, their cores glowing dimly, and holographic screens flashed lines of data that Elias could not fully comprehend. Lyra hovered in the center, her glow intensifying, illuminating the dark room. Suddenly, a warning flashed across the screens. "Unauthorized life form detected. Neutralization protocols engaged." Elias froze. Neutralization? The Alliance would not tolerate an unknown being. They would destroy her without a second thought. Lyra's light pulsed faster, almost frantic. It was clear. She understood danger even if she could not speak. Elias's chest tightened. He had a choice: obey the Alliance, or protect this fragile being who had no voice but had somehow touched the core of his humanity. "Get her out," he whispered to Tira. "We leave now." The officer hesitated. "Commander, that's a direct violation. You know the consequences." Elias turned toward her, eyes hard. "Some things are worth more than orders. Trust me." They ran through the corridors, the station shaking as internal systems failed. Lyra floated in Elias's arms, her light pulsating gently against his chest. For a fleeting moment, he allowed himself to feel something he had long buried: hope. Outside, the shuttle waited, engines humming quietly. Elias and Tira helped Lyra aboard. The moment she was inside, her glow filled the cabin, soft but radiant, as if recognizing a place of safety. Where are we going?" Tira asked. "Anywhere," Elias replied, "where they can't find her, where she can survive." As the shuttle left the station, the Alliance's sensors had already locked onto their signal. They would not let an anomaly like Lyra go unchallenged. Elias knew this. Every jump through space might bring them closer to a fleet of hunters, a wave of cold machines and human soldiers who would see her as nothing but a threat. Yet, Elias felt no fear. Holding her light against the darkness, he realized that he had discovered something humanity had forgotten: the power of compassion, of care, of protecting something because it was precious. "Fragile and alive, why me?" he murmured quietly, more to himself than anyone else. Lyra's glow pulsed softly against his hand. It was as if she answered not with words but with the quiet understanding that had always been beyond language. She trusted him, and that trust ignited a fire in Elias's chest. He had trained for battles, for wars, for the cold calculus of survival, but this was different. It was a war for the soul of something pure. Hours passed in silence, the stars stretching infinitely outside the shuttle's windows. Elias watched Lyra drift gently, her light reflecting in the glass like a small sun. For the first time in his life, he did not feel alone. The emptiness of space had been filled with something that mattered more than strategy or orders. It was life, and it was fragile, and it was beautiful. Elias knew that the Alliance would come for them. They would not understand, and perhaps they were right. It might be dangerous. But he did not care. He had made a choice, and choices like this, he realized, were what made humans different. He reached out and rested a hand gently on Lyra's glowing form. "I will protect you," he promised softly. "No matter what comes, no matter the cost. Your light, it's worth more than anything in this galaxy." Lyra's glow brightened at his words, not like a weapon or a signal, but like a heartbeat. Elias felt the warmth reach into him, filling spaces he had long ignored. The galaxy was vast, indifferent, and often cruel, but here, in the fragile light of a being who could not defend herself, Elias found a reason to defy the darkness, and so they fled into the stars, a soldier and a girl of light, bound by trust, courage, and something deeper than either could yet name. Ahead of them lay danger, pursuit, and trials unlike anything Elias had ever faced. But in his heart, he carried a single truth: some things were worth defying the universe for. Some things were worth protecting, even when the cost was everything. Elias piloted the shuttle through the empty stretches of the Andros cluster, each jump bringing them farther from the Alliance's reach. The stars streaked past in brilliant lines, a reminder of the vastness of the galaxy, and yet, no matter how far they traveled, Elias could feel the tension in every corner of the cabin. Lyra floated near the center of the shuttle, her light dimmer than before, flickering with a soft, fragile rhythm. Elias watched her carefully. She had been quiet since the escape, as though gathering her strength. Yet every pulse of light told him she was in pain, slowly losing the energy that sustained her. "We need to get to the origin star," Elias said quietly, more to himself than to Tira. He had researched every legend, every myth that spoke of a star capable of restoring beings like Lyra. Most dismissed it as fiction, but desperate times demanded belief in something more. Tira frowned. "Do you really believe in those stories?" It's just a star, a legend." Elias glanced at her, his face calm but determined. "Legends are often the closest thing we have to hope. If she fades here, nothing else will matter." Tira stayed silent after that, her hands tightening on the controls. The shuttle hummed along the star-strewn void, carrying a cargo far more precious than anything she had ever transported. Lyra stirred, her light pulsing brighter as Elias approached. She reached out with a form of her glowing essence, and for a moment Elias felt a warmth unlike any he had known. It was not love as the poets described, but something deeper: trust, understanding, and connection. "Commander," Tira said softly, breaking the quiet. "We're being scanned." Elias's brow furrowed. "By whom?" "The Alliance," she replied, her voice tense. "They haven't given up." Sensors picked up unusual energy readings, the same signature as her. Elias clenched his jaw. Prepare evasive maneuvers. We'll take them through the Doran Nebula. It's risky, but it might shake them. The shuttle shuddered as they entered the swirling clouds of the nebula, where gravitational anomalies threatened to tear lesser ships apart. Elias guided the controls with precision born of years of experience. Every twist and turn was calculated, every movement measured to keep both his crew and Lyra safe. Outside, the nebula's colors shimmered, painting the void in swirls of violet and gold. Lyra floated in awe, her glow reflecting against the shuttle's windows. It was a small moment of beauty amidst chaos, a reminder of why he was willing to risk everything for her. As they cleared the nebula, a message crackled over the comm system. A fleet had picked up their trail, closing in with terrifying speed. Elias's heart remained steady. He had fought armies before, but now the stakes were different. It wasn't victory he sought. It was survival for something precious and fragile. "We can't outrun them forever," Tira warned. "We need a plan." Elias looked at Lyra, her light pulsing faintly as though sensing the looming danger. "We won't outrun them," he said slowly. "But maybe we don't need to. Sometimes you fight in ways they cannot expect." He set a course for an abandoned starbase, a place few humans or aliens dared to venture. It was dangerous, nearly forgotten, but it offered temporary shelter and the chance to regroup. The starbase was a skeleton of metal and silence, drifting among the ruins of old wars. Elias guided the shuttle inside, careful to avoid unstable sections. Lyra's glow illuminated the dark corridors as she floated alongside him. Every step reminded him of how delicate she was. One misstep, one stray energy pulse, and she could fade completely. They reached a central chamber, and for the first time since the escape, Elias allowed himself to breathe. Lyra hovered near the center, her light pulsing slower now, almost like a faint heartbeat. Elias knelt beside her, his hand hovering near her glow. "You're safe here," he whispered. "For now." Lyra responded by letting her light wash over him, a quiet reassurance. It was a language beyond words, beyond logic. In that moment, Elias realized that protecting her was more than a mission. It was a responsibility, a duty born of empathy and understanding, something the Alliance could never comprehend. Days passed in uneasy calm. Elias and Tira repaired the shuttle, scavenged for supplies, and monitored Alliance communications. Lyra remained quiet, her glow fluctuating as if conserving energy. Elias often found himself simply watching her, marveling at the fragile radiance that had become the center of his world. One evening, as the twin suns of a distant planet set beyond the viewport, Elias spoke softly. "Do you know what you are?" Lyra's glow pulsed, then brightened slightly. Elias took it as an answer. She knew in ways words could not convey. She was a being of pure energy, a relic of a civilization long gone, carrying the essence of life itself, and that essence was now entrusted to him. "It's strange," Elias continued, to care for something so fragile, to fight for something that could vanish at any moment, but it feels right." Lyra responded with a gentle flare of light, a rhythm that seemed to echo his heartbeat. It was as if she understood every unspoken word, every thought he dared not voice. Their brief peace ended abruptly. A fleet of Alliance ships appeared on the horizon, their movements precise and relentless. Tira cursed under her breath. "They found us." Elias's expression remained calm. "We knew this was coming. Ready the shuttle. We leave immediately." The pursuit was relentless. The Alliance fired energy pulses that lit the void like fireworks, each shot narrowly missing the fragile glow of Lyra. Elias maneuvered the shuttle with skill and intuition, but he knew that a direct escape was impossible. They needed a plan that leveraged something unexpected, something only humans could do. Elias studied the fleet. They were disciplined, logical, predictable, machines of war that relied on orders and patterns, and that was where humans excelled. Improvisation, intuition, unpredictability. "Follow my lead," Elias said to Tira, a determined glint in his eyes. "We'll give them something they cannot calculate." He guided the shuttle into a cluster of collapsing asteroids. The fleet hesitated, unable to anticipate the shifting debris. Elias weaved the shuttle through the chaos, Lyra's light glowing brighter as she seemed to synchronize with his movements. It was as if her energy responded to his courage, giving him an edge no logic could match. For hours they darted between asteroids and debris fields, always staying just ahead of the pursuing fleet. Lyra's glow, once fragile, seemed to grow stronger with each successful maneuver, as though her heart was fed by trust and courage rather than energy reserves. Finally, after a grueling chase, Elias guided the shuttle toward the coordinates of the origin star, a distant system said to hold the energy that could restore beings like Lyra. It was a faint hope, a legend whispered across the galaxy, but it was all they had. As they approached the system, Lyra's light pulsed with renewed intensity. Elias reached out, letting his hand hover near her glow. "We're close," he whispered. "Hold on. You're not alone." For the first time since the escape, Elias felt something he had not felt in years. Hope, not a distant wish, not a tactical advantage, but a quiet, steady flame. Lyra's glow reflected that hope back at him, a reminder that even in the coldest, most indifferent corners of space, life could endure, thrive, and inspire. And so, they entered the unknown, fugitives of the Alliance, guided by courage, trust, and the fragile light that bound them together. Ahead lay trials, dangers, and impossible choices. But Elias knew one truth that no fleet or empire could ever take away. Some things were worth risking everything for. And for Lyra, that truth burned brighter than any star in the galaxy. The origin star hung ahead like a lone beacon in the void, its golden light shimmering across the darkness of space. Elias gripped the shuttle controls tightly, his knuckles white as the pursuing Alliance fleet closed in behind them. Lyra floated nearby, her glow flickering weakly but steadily, a fragile pulse of hope against the cold universe. "This is it," Elias whispered to Tira, his eyes fixed on the distant star. "We either make it or we don't." Tira's jaw tightened. "We'll make it. We have to." Elias allowed himself a brief moment of doubt, but it passed. Doubt was a luxury he could not afford. Every calculation, every instinct, every choice he had made had led to this moment. Lyra's survival, her fragile light, depended on him, and he would not fail. The fleet behind them fired relentlessly, energy pulses cutting through space like jagged lightning. Elias weaved the shuttle with skill and precision, dodging and spiraling through asteroid belts, using every bit of knowledge, courage, and human intuition he had. "Commander," Tira shouted, "they're going to corner us near the star's gravity well." Elias's eyes narrowed. The gravity of the origin star was unpredictable, dangerous. One wrong move, and the shuttle could be crushed or thrown into a deadly orbit. But he also saw an opportunity. The Alliance relied on their machines, their calculations, their rigid patterns. The star's gravity could give them a weapon they could not anticipate. "Hold on, Lyra," Elias said softly. "We're going to turn the odds." He pushed the shuttle into a daring dive, skimming the star's upper atmosphere. The fleet followed, but the gravitational pull interfered with their targeting systems. Their energy pulses missed, their formations faltered. The humans were using instinct, improvisation, unpredictability, things no machine or strictly logical mind could replicate. Lyra's glow began to strengthen, responding to Elias's courage. It was subtle at first, a small flare of light, then brighter, more vivid. Her essence seemed to resonate with the origin star, as if the star itself recognized her as life worthy of protection. Elias could feel it in his bones, the connection between human will, Lyra's heart, and the universe itself. He smiled briefly, a flicker of hope shining through the tension. "See? Even the stars want you to survive." But the Alliance was relentless. One ship broke formation and fired a concentrated beam directly at the shuttle. Elias barely managed to dodge, the blast scorching past and tearing through the outer hull. Sparks rained inside the cockpit, alarms blaring. "Tira, shields up. Give me maximum power to the engines," Elias barked. They pushed the shuttle to its limits, weaving through molten debris and stellar flares. Lyra's light flared brighter, illuminating the cabin in warm gold. She reached out instinctively, her essence brushing against the ship's core. The shuttle responded, the engines pulsing in sync with her energy as if the fragile light had become part of their strength. "It's working," Tira shouted, her eyes wide. "Her light? It's interacting with the systems." Elias nodded grimly. "It's not just light, it's life. And life has power beyond calculation." The fleet faltered again, their systems failing to predict the combined force of human will and Lyra's radiant energy. One by one, the ships began to drift, caught in the unpredictable gravitational turbulence and failing calculations. The impossible was happening. Elias was winning, not through brute force but through courage, intuition, and protection of something precious. But victory did not come without sacrifice. The shuttle shuddered violently as the strain grew unbearable. Sparks flew, hull breaches threatened life support, and the energy flowing from Lyra flickered erratically. Elias could see the toll it was taking on her. "Lyra, hold on," he whispered. "We're almost there." She responded with a faint pulse of light, weak but determined. Her heart, her essence was fragile, yet she endured because he protected her. Elias realized then that protecting her had become more than duty. It was devotion, a shield forged not from weapons but from care, courage, and humanity itself. The shuttle approached the heart of the origin star system. Elias guided them into a massive energy chamber, a rare phenomenon where the star's radiant core extended a protective cocoon of energy. The chamber was alive with light resonating with Lyra's essence. "Stay steady," Elias instructed. "This is it. This is your chance." Lyra's glow brightened until it became almost blinding, filling the shuttle with warmth. Elias placed his hand gently near her light, feeling the rhythm of her heart. For the first time, her energy flowed freely, unblocked and untamed. The shuttle trembled, responding to the combination of human resolve and radiant life. Outside, the pursuing fleet could only watch in disbelief. Their calculations failed, their weapons useless against the unpredictable force of life itself. Machines froze, human soldiers stared in awe, and something in the galaxy shifted in that moment. Elias felt a surge of emotion he had never allowed himself to experience fully. Triumph, relief, and profound connection. Lyra's light pulsed again, stronger than ever, flowing through the ship, resonating with him. He realized then that he was not just protecting her. He had become part of her energy, her essence, her heart. The pulse of radiant light from Lyra spread outward, an invisible wave across space. It did not destroy, it did not harm, and it awakened. Machines, humans, even alien sensors experienced it. A moment of clarity, empathy, and awakening. Elias saw it reflected in the distant Alliance fleet. Hesitation, confusion, and a faint spark of understanding. For a fleeting moment, Elias smiled. He had defied the dark not with weapons, not with firepower, but with something far older, far stronger, the courage of the human heart and the will to protect what was fragile and beautiful. But the moment was not without cost. The shuttle shuddered violently again. Lyra's light flickered. Elias knew that she had poured her essence into the ship, into the moment, to protect them both. He reached out, placing his hand fully on her glow. "I've got you," he whispered. "I won't let anything happen to you." The warmth of her light spread into him, steadying the shuttle, healing minor systems, and forming a cocoon of energy around them. Elias marveled at the beauty of life, the strength of compassion, and the truth that some things, and some lives, were worth risking everything for. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the storm of pursuit passed. The fleet could not follow into the chamber. Their systems failed, their logic broken by the unquantifiable force of life and courage. Elias guided the shuttle to a safe orbit near the origin star, the light from the core bathing them in golden warmth. Lyra floated freely now, her glow steady, her pulse calm. She reached out to Elias in her silent language, and he mirrored her gesture, letting his hand hover near hers. Words were unnecessary. The bond they shared was deeper than speech. Tira looked at them, eyes wide with awe. She's alive. And stable." Elias nodded. "She's more than alive. She's herself again, and we did it together." Lyra's glow reflected on Elias's face, and he realized something profound. The galaxy could be cold, indifferent, and merciless, but humans, with courage, empathy, and the will to protect, could change it. Even if only a little. He turned his gaze to the origin star, its radiant energy spreading warmth across the void. "You're safe now," he whispered, "and we will make sure nothing ever takes that from you again." For the first time in years, Elias felt unburdened by fear, unbound by orders, free to simply be a human, imperfect, brave, and capable of protecting something worth more than life itself. Lyra's light pulsed softly, a rhythm that echoed his heartbeat, a fragile yet enduring symbol of hope. And as the shuttle drifted in orbit, bathed in the golden glow of the origin star, Elias understood something simple but eternal. Life, no matter how fragile, was sacred. And the human heart, when guided by courage and compassion, was the most powerful force in the universe. He had protected her heart like it was fragile light, and in doing so he had discovered something even more extraordinary, that by safeguarding what was pure and delicate, humans could shine brighter than the stars themselves. Elias leaned back, watching Lyra float in peaceful radiance. He whispered softly, almost to himself, "You are light, and you have made me human again." And for the first time in the vast emptiness of space he felt whole,